Hello, my beautiful soul family. Welcome to my channel, The Mystical Hummingbird. I'm happy to be here with you this day, this beautiful day. Every day is a beautiful day. I have got so much stuff for you today. Last time, in my last video about the hidden truths about reality, something really odd happened. When I was done, and there was something, and I was thinking, there's something I missed, and I could not pinpoint it. So I went back and I listened and I watched and I looked at my notes, and there were 2 pages stuck together, and this has never happened before. Well, I talked to Spirit and I asked, am I supposed to do a part 2? Well, it so happens I'm going to. This one's going to be probably a little bit longer than normal, and I'm a little bit hesitant on it because I think it's a lot to swallow in a whole 45 minutes, sometimes an hour. Most times I've been here an hour, but this information is so vital that I feel that you guys need to have it, because the hidden truths about reality, and then this is what this title will be: an ascension is possible and real. So sit back, get yourself a cup of tea, coffee, water, whatever you want. And I want to say thank you for those that have subscribed and those that are watching and listening. I sure hope that I'm bringing something that will help you in this life journey. This is my intention, to have people discover themselves and make the best life for themselves. And like my life is turning out so beautiful. So why not share? If you have a good recipe for something, share it so that someone else can try it. You don't have to believe a word that I say. Try things on your own. Okay, so this is quite a bit. It's lots of pages. Okay, like I've mentioned before, the video before, those pages were stuck together. So now, all in all, of these life's lessons, I see how we are being guided by Spirit to seek the depths of us and observe our human qualities and see if we are aligned with our soul's purpose. When we begin unfolding ourselves, confronting our light, our shadows, and when we learn to forgive ourselves and make a true relationship with our souls, and then we go into deep introspections, finding all of the nook and crannies of, metaphorically speaking, these hidden aspects of the self, such as traumatic experiences in childhood years, abandonment wounds, violence, abuse, tucked away safely deep within our obscure spaces of the psyche. These hidden depths of our personality that we hide behind our egos need to be faced, explored, and brought to the light so we can recognize them, so we can heal them once and for all. This takes a great amount of courage, but most of all, self-love. This implies truly looking at ourselves and the overlooked parts of our lives, our histories, and without judgment. And I cannot stress enough on self-love. Mr. Einstein said, reality is merely an illusion, albeit a very persistent one. There's a document, a report in 2003, a collection of CIA documents that was finally declassified. Among these documents was a report titled Analysis and Assessment of Gateway Process. It is an Army intelligence report on the Monroe Institute Gateway Experience. which focuses on a program using sound wave technology, hemicypic, to induce altered states of consciousness for purposes like out-of-body experiences, remote viewing, and energy healing, and others. Now, this report was found to be plausible according to physical science, suggesting potential for intelligence application, and it is now a book for public interest in consciousness studies. Now, this report, an official study from 1983 that outlines a method for expanding human consciousness, transcending the limitations of space and time, and assessing other dimensions of reality. You see, there are many more realities besides the one we are in, as well as other timelines, and such a thing as quantum jumping to other realities. I myself have experienced living in two, and I'll explain this later. And because we are three-dimensional beings living as well in other realities of our creation, this cannot be understood unless we are in a higher mind consciousness. There are higher dimensions. They are hidden from our senses until we work in ourselves, clean our bodies, both spiritual, our chakras, our emotional bodies, etc. And we focus on our inner healing. Thus, we open up space for consciousness from higher spheres to enter and expand our minds to higher understanding. I have shared an experience in one of my earlier videos where I lived and experienced two moments in one, and I'll explain. I was driving to one of my daughter's home. I had placed a CD to listen with South American Andes music from a group called Inti Limani. Okay, so this piece of music called Alturas, which means heights. Okay, let me explain. For I must first explain why I had this experience. Since I consider myself a spiritual being, having a physical experience on this planet, I feel that I have a spiritual and multiverse consciousness. This is why I often have mentioned that I live in two worlds. This is allowing me to experience and perceive other dimensions when I have visions, both when I have visions through meditation or lucid dreams in between states of consciousness. Right now, we live in a time where we have access to all kinds of information, and the information is vast and in all forms. Now, for me, I feel that once you create a relationship with the best part of you, your child self, which is in actuality the divine spark, the Christ self, God, for the seed was planted in us as we come to this experience. I've developed a relationship with spirit since I was a little girl. As an adult, discernment has opened itself within me. My trust in the Creator, my spirit guides, and my angels is such that I am no longer in doubt where I'm walking or where I am going. I was asked by Spirit to open this channel over a year ago because Spirit wanted me to share our relationship that we have together, and so people can see how he, she, my father, mother, Pachamama, for me, God is both. God is a father figure, mother figure, and Pachamama as my mother, the nature within that lives here upon the earth that we are experiencing. As I've said before, I am no different than any of you, nor more special. I chose to say yes and also know this part of me, and it is part of my destiny. Now to the experience I had. So while driving, I knew exactly where I was going. As soon as the melody of Alturas Heights came on, I found myself immediately in Odense, Denmark, where I used to live. And I stood in a corner by the kitchen and I observed how my three children with with woolen ponchos that their grandparents had brought to them from Chile. Each of them held a small Andean wind instrument called a zampoña, meaning panpipe. They were dancing and playing this melody with their father. Now the strange thing was this, that I was 100% in the moment that had occurred many years prior. My children were little. I drove the car without any complication, without thinking, for it was like an automatic thing, like an automatic feeling. For I knew where I was going, but I was present in both places at the same time. I was not meditating, nor I was in a retrospective moment. This isn't the only time I've experienced such things. I know that I am a multi-dimensional being. We all are. Now, because I was also told by my higher self as a child about the relativity of time, according to Mr. Einstein, time is not an absolute, universal constant, but is instead relative to the observer's motion and the strength of the surrounding gravitational field. This is considered a phenomenon known as time dilation, meaning that time can flow at different rates for different observers. And what I will share about this, when I was little and my grandmother told me to come in, for I supposedly had been outside for hours. So my inner child, imaginary friend, told me that time did not exist, that this moment I was living, tomorrow I would talk about what I did yesterday, but that was lived in a present moment. And so the past does not exist, for that was lived on what? A present moment. And in an unexpected future, you make plans when you get there. Let's say you plan a trip to Tibet, and so comes the day, and what happens? You live that moment in what? A present moment. So past was lived on a present moment. Future also lived on a present moment. So all we have is this present moment. Okay, so now I will tell you that I feel that for my understanding, there is a parallel universe with different versions of me, and aware of me as I am of them. This is where quantum physics steps in and can boggle the mind. Oh, I'm so excited for this. So for my understanding, since all is energy and vibration, okay, well, first, back to Mr. Einstein. He said everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy. This is physics. In other words, Mr. Einstein is telling us that we are creators. So reality can be changed. And why, you may ask? Well, if everything is energy, frequency is vibration, and energy is not solid, this suggests that the fundamental nature of the universe, from subatomic particles to galaxies, is not solid matter, but rather energy is in constant motion, vibrating at different frequencies. So we have a great power that most do not realize. For example, in my experiments, yes, I've done many experiments with me. This excites me so much. I just love my life. In my experiments that I've done throughout the years, as a keen observer of my mind, things I have thought of, some have instantly appeared before me. Like one day I wanted a juicy, crispy Honeycrisp apple, and I remember that I licked my lips when I was thinking about it. I'll just have to tell you this. I licked my lips and I was imagining savoring this delicious crispy honey apple that even the juices dripped from my mouth. And I remember that I had so much saliva in my mouth. So remember, having saliva when you create is something very specific, something that's going to be for another video. Oh, so I was walking with a friend when this happened, and she just, when I said, I want this and I desired this so, and it literally, people literally fell from the sky like this, boom. So when I was walking with my friend, she could not believe it, that it had happened. And then I showed her the sticker and it said Honey Crisp on it. And it was huge. So I've had moments when I've created things like this in an instant. Okay, so now we go back to what I was speaking about in the beginning. We are not merely observing reality. We are coding it. For every thought we have, every thought we think, every emotion we feel sends a most precise command into the quantum fabric of the cosmos. You see, reality is not happening to us. It is being fulfilled, accomplished, executed through us in this present moment, real time. There is ancient, spiritual, esoteric, hidden wisdom that holds and reveals light and truth. Once we hear, we cannot go back, for it moves the soul. For the soul recognizes its own truth and light, thus becomes one with it. The same divine force known as God or the Word in sacred text carries and is the same energy behind our thoughts, our feelings, emotions, and the algorithms shaping our lives this very moment. There is a connection between thought, emotion, and quantum manifestation. For years, or should I say, my entire existence, until this very moment, we are part of a very sophisticated living system called a matrix, or sometimes referred to as the simulation hypothesis. And you might now think, of this lady, she's gone bananas. For that would literally suggest that we're living a reality that is computer generated, a virtual environment created by an advanced civilization. And as I've mentioned before, when I saw this movie called The Matrix back in the year 2000, and as an observer, I found many similarities to this life with this movie's algorithms. Just like in the movie, the machines fed humans a comfortable artificial reality to keep them docile, and modern algorithms create personalized realities for us. Look at social media, YouTube, TikTok, etc. They feed us content based on what? On our vibrational frequencies, thus our reactions. By this, tailoring our perception of truth and often creating negative feedback loops that can and is actually worsening the human condition. You can see how everything is all over this world. There's no balance. There's a lot of darkness. There's a lot of light, but there's also a lot of darkness. Now, the simulation theory and so-called glitches, by the way, if you didn't know what a glitch is in the technical world, a glitch is a minor temporary malfunction in a system or in a program or machine, often appearing as a brief, unexpected, like a hiccup of sorts, like a screen flicker, sound skip, or momentarily freeze video games. Now, back to this simulation theory and so-called glitches. It became popular, often an internet-driven term, used to describe the unexpected, illogical, or eerie event in daily life that seems to defy the laws of physics or logic. So much like a computer error, a glitch in a simulated world, referring to instances where reality feels for a moment edited, rewritten, or broken. This suggesting that the world we live in is not as solid consistent, or real as we believe it to be. Food for thought, people. Like deja vu or something. I'm sure we have all experienced moments are repeated because of change in the code. Objects reappearing and disappearing elsewhere. Time, location, anomalies, people claiming to experience these slips on experiencing frozen time. Okay, I will tell you the story about in the restaurant when I ordered hummus, the hummus platter, and I changed my mind. I was taught a very significant lesson about honoring myself and standing by what I believe to be true and not go against my heart. Okay, I will tell you, I've mentioned this before. Every Wednesday I used to go with my friend. She was a psychotherapist at the health department where we worked together. And every Wednesday we would go to our favorite place and have the hummus platter at the Rooster. And so this one particular day we ordered the food, and we had an hour lunch. And so yeah, we were sitting talking, and then a waiter, a server came with a tray, and in the tray was, I saw the sandwich with all these avocado slices. And avocado is one of my favorite things. I love avocados. Everything green I love. So I noticed, I thought, I want that instead. And she was still there, so I called her back and said, I'm going to change my order. And she goes, are you sure? I've already, I haven't gotten it started, but go ahead, what do you want? And then I told her, and I asked her what that was, and she explained. I said, okay, I'll order that, and I'll try that today. When she left, my friend looks at me, she goes, oh, Viv, I know you're going to be disappointed. You're not going to like that. You love the hummus platter. And then we kind of laughed. Okay, they come with my plate. She started eating her hummus platter, and I dove into the sandwich. I took a bite, and it was warm. Now, for me, I don't mind warm, but it had mayo, but it had tons of mayo, and it had maybe 3 slices of avocado, not tons like I had seen on the sandwich that the lady had. And it had bacon and avocado, and then I don't know if it was ham or what the heck it was, but to me it tasted disgusting. It was like an aftertaste of the mayo. I couldn't swallow. Okay, now this is when this happened. Just like in the Matrix. People were like this. Some people with a tray. Everything became frozen. It was a moment, an instant that became frozen, and then I heard these words in my mind, and I heard them as loud as I am telling you. And it said, why do you partake of things that you do not like? And then again, why do you partake of things that you do not like? And then one more time, why do you partake of things that you do not like? Now, the number 3 time, it affected my whole entire system, my nervous system, my body, and I had a clump in here, like ready to burst out crying because I had gone against myself. And I know you would think, oh, it's something so silly, it's just a plate of food. You see, something that everyone understands and knows, we are not just merely human beings, we are sacred beings. So being sacred, we need to what? Honor ourselves, honor even to the most minuscule thing that we like, and know that what we are partaking of is something delightful that's going to make us happy, like to eat a delicious fruit, or be with someone that you really truly love, not just be with someone just to pass time, or because they cover the bills, or because they do this or whatever. No, everything in life you need to observe and look and see how you feel. So the universe taught me right there and then. And I'm telling you, I got up. My friends, are you okay? When everything came back, I ran to the bathroom. I didn't throw up. I just spit the food out. I couldn't swallow it. I sat at the toilet and I bursted out crying. Because I did not, what? I did not accept and honored me, my truth. And my truth was to eat the hummus platter. I would have been so delighted and delightful. Because you see, what people don't understand, the wholeness of you your spirit child, you also have other light entities that are with you that help you through life. Don't know if you've ever heard this before, but I've known this since I was a little girl, and I don't want to go too much into that because it's yeah, I'll wait with that. But let me tell you, once I did that, I promised myself never that I would honor me, that I would never partake of something I don't like, or not be with someone that I don't want to be around with. And if I will be authentic and honest with me first, I had to be honest with me and love me. This is how you love you. You honor you. Okay. So this flickering reality is a constructed experience of a society of people's ideas, belief systems, dogmas, all melted into this so-called matrix. And patterns are created. So when we start to notice new or frequent odd events, like I have just experienced and told you, and experience still many a time, it feels like a pattern or a glitch in the system, making me more aware of self, of my own thoughts, and opening me to questioning even more. These unexplained events that are guiding me to look deeper into the rabbit hole. These moments when, excuse me, let me get some water. I love water. These moments when our conscious perception of reality shifts, allowing for me to see more layers of the world and myself in it, are helping explore even deeper thought through meditation and introspective moments, bringing me into more light. And for me, this journey of the self is a profound spiritual path I have chosen. I have chosen this to acquire the knowledge of my origins and the nature of existence, of my existence, for it matters to me. I've always wanted to know why I am. Why? It is not a laughing matter, for if you really look at the chaos of the world, what the world is in right now, I often question myself, what am I responsible for? Because I'm telling you, we're all responsible for everything. You see, in our subconscious mind are our beliefs and core values. It stores our ideas, our habits, all past experiences, our dogmas, our memories that are profoundly embedded within our subconscious, and all this shapes pretty much nearly 95% of our human behavior. It has great power, this subconscious part of our brain. It manages in automatic pretty much our bodily functions, our emotional reactions, our long-term memory, and learned behaviors, such as driving a bike, a car, an airplane, walking, etc. So this, like computers, acts as a massive data bank for all we've done, seen, experienced, including repressed memories. Now, the subconscious does not reason independently. Instead, acts as a silent partner, like a computer program following instructions from your conscious mind. For example, when we have or should form a habit, when we have a or should form a habit, whether positive or negative, it becomes an autopilot, like driving or playing on an instrument. The conscious mind directs the action, but with what repetition? The subconscious mind takes over, allowing us to perform complex actions like driving a train, flying a plane, automatically playing the guitar, speaking different languages. The conscious mind is the captain of the boat, sort of. It sets goals, while the subconscious is the engineer. He executes the plan. And I call that the mama. Now, to explain about the renewal of our minds and why would we want to renew our minds. For my studies and research I've done for years focused on the brilliance, power of our minds, and because I have a relationship with the Most High, I have been informed that ascension is possible and real. You may ask, what is ascension? And why would we seek this? There are some truths, first of all, in all religions and belief systems. I personally feel that no single faith holds all the answers. And because I feel this, I take what is offered, and if it resonates with my heart and my mind, I make use of it. I appreciate these words I read in the Bible. Romans 12:2. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and prove what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. So pretty much instructing us to avoid conforming to this world's behaviors, values, and mindsets, instead to go through and undergo a metamorphosis or transformation by renewing our minds. So the cultures, opinions, and negative self-centered fallen systems of this current age, I do not allow to shape my life. For I am guided, I listen to my heart. My mind and my heart have a coherence which I now understand, and I am being guided by my higher self in everything that I do. And I am grateful. So here, transformation versus conformity in my eyes. For renewing the mind, in other words, ascending to a higher consciousness, is an active process where we can align ourselves, our thoughts, with divine light, truth, through communicating with the divine, thus aligning ourselves perfectly with God's purpose for us. We do not conform. I do not conform to this world's ideals and patterns that no longer service me, but to be transformed through the renewal of my mind, our own minds, enabling us to discern God's will. Ascension is real. As I mentioned earlier about the gateway experience, it it's a report that has been declassified. They're declassified documents right now. And HemiSync program, this comprehensive guide to consciousness exploration with astral travel, ESP development based on the declassified CIA gateway process documents, that has turned into a book that I myself has purchased a while back, for I was curious about and what information it had. So when I first discovered the information, it gives you explanations and practical insights for mastering the mind, expanding techniques for achieving higher states of consciousness. I am personally working, before this book showed up into my life, with meditation and acquiring more in-depth information about my origins, and because I received downloads from my spirit guides and dreams, and also in visions that work closely with me. Ascension of my consciousness to the Christ consciousness is most important to me. By the way, this book I purchased about the gateway experience does not provide final answers. It merely exposes what our minds can do. I personally, again, have invested years of deep retrospection, meditation, healing, and doing my shadow work, going inside deep of all of my childhood traumas and later pains that life has brought to me as lessons. I understand that there are thousands of people around in the world today reporting spiritual awakenings, expanding their perceptions of reality, experiencing mystical experiences, and like me, an inexplicable urgency, finding meaning beyond this spectrum. I feel deeply that humanity is collectively approaching an evolutionary threshold towards ascension, some consciously and some unconsciously. I can only speak of myself and this experience, where this evolutionary leap of consciousness I am making is reconnecting me with my divinity into cosmic intelligence, that we are what we're all one. I am moving, shifting into the wholeness of me, away from the fear, the ego based, divided state of this reality, into a more loving, into the I am presence that I am, which that being a limitless self. Ascension, providing the rising of my electromagnetic field and purifying both the physical and spiritual bodies, creating a conscious coherence between my soul, optimizing this metamorphosis to achieve mastery of the self. When ascension was brought to my attention through dreams some 20 years ago, I laughed and I thought, huh, I'll never achieve such a mind status, especially in the world I was living in. But when I read the story of the Buddha and he ascended in consciousness, he became a compassionate, more loving, raising his vibrational frequencies, which shifted him to a Buddha state. My awakenings were triggered by the dark nights of the soul as I went through the process of external and internal life altering events in my life, such as divorce, suicide attempts, several of them, and seeing the effects on myself and my beloved children. When I overcame and ultimately healed by shedding the old perceptions, the low frequency patterns I was accustomed to, once I did this, and it was a long, painful, at times process, nevertheless, by integrating myself to higher consciousness of thought into my everyday life and creating a relationship, a deeper relationship with myself and my creator, I began to detect how little by little, step by step, by focusing in the long-term goal, which was to overcome and navigate with intention towards the light, truth, the natural evolution that my soul was taking me to. I have never felt more free, more happier, more whole. It is the wholeness of me that fills me with emotions, and I can honestly say, I love me, Viviana. I love me. I am enamored with me, with the little girl inside. I've been able to keep my innocence. I can see the world with awe, life, nature, people, even though I went through at times horrible experiences, like I'm sure everyone else has gone through. And I am at awe at the things I have and will accomplish in the very near future, for I have a contract with the Creator and have been working with Him, her, Spirit, my Spirit God, my Lion, my Pachamama, are God for me. Now, I truly feel that ascension is possible for all. It is not just a privilege for a few. I believe it is a global call for all of us to awaken to the best part of ourselves, to our inner God, Christ consciousness. I will tell you about the scientists that authored this report that later turned into a book. They sought theoretical support from an engineer and mystic who proposed a holographic view of the universe, where each human being acts as an antenna of consciousness tuned into the whole. According to this Itzhak Bentov, Israeli American biomedical engineer and mystic, whose research on consciousness, specifically his biomedical models regarding physical body micro mecha houses, formed the theoretical backbone of the 1983 CIA Declassified Analysis and Assessment of Gateway Process report. Mr. Bentov's work on human vibration, Kundalini, and cosmic consciousness provided the scientific basis for the Great Gateway experience. Mr. Bentov was a self-taught engineer who used models such as the pendulum to map consciousness and explain the mechanics of creation. and bridging meditation with quantum physics. This man's work helped transform subjective spiritual experiences into measurable scientific phenomena for the military intelligence report. So, according to Mr. Vento, the human body can generate vibrational states that connected directly to the essence of creation. Interestingly enough, these states are the same ones described in spiritual ascension processes. The similarities to biblical accounts of transfiguration or to Buddhist monks achieving the so-called rainbow body are no coincidence. They represent a convergence, or in other words, a union. What the CIA uncovered, though not stated outright, was the tip of a thread leading to an ancient spiritual secret that the body can become light. I've seen this. I've seen this in dreams. I've seen this also. I've had a couple of visions. The body can become light, for this is what we are, our origins. Okay, so leading to an ancient spiritual secret that the body can become light and that consciousness can be trained to transcend suffering, time, and even death. The human mind has lived for centuries within invisible walls. The largest of these is the belief that we are separate from the whole. And the CIA document explores something most people were never meant to question. What is the true nature of human consciousness? What if ascension is not a belief, but a measurable process? Oh, I'm so excited. There are connections to ancient spiritual traditions, including the biblical transfiguration of Jesus. There's also the Buddhist rainbow body. This is not speculation anymore. This is real, declassified government document that describes many altered states of consciousness, non-local awareness, and the transformation of the human energy body. There's much unfolding about reality beneath the surface. Have you ever felt or thought that consciousness is more than the brain? Or have you ever questioned time and space and why there are so many limitations in body? Do you sense humanity may be approaching or a collective awakening perhaps? You're not alone. We are not alone. I personally feel that it is a time for us to recover our memories of our true origins and become beings of light. We are more than just flesh and bones and electrical impulses. The universe is an intelligent, unified field of vibrational energy. We can achieve and transcend three-dimensional reality and operate at higher levels of consciousness of existence. This asserts that consciousness is not merely confined to the brain, that time is a mental construct, and there is indeed access to other realms, cosmic records, and the possibility to communicate with beings from other dimensions. I know that to be true too. There is wisdom of ancient sages from all over the world, in India, Tibet, the Middle East, that we are made of light and that there is a path back to the source. It is no longer a question about what has been discovered, but why it has been kept hidden. And even more importantly, why is it coming to light now? Many people throughout the world are awakening. In this book, I've mentioned the gateway process begins by shattering illusions that we are separate. On opposing sides, you see science and spirituality are just two ways of mapping the same invisible territory. But you need to be open. You need to open yourself to that, not just be closed in this box and this is it. This is the only thing there is. Because I'm sorry to tell you, and I'm not sorry to tell you. Because whether you like it, whether I like it, whether anybody else like it, truth is there. And it's waiting to what? To wake up to have light brought into it. And that is now being rediscovered, not in the mountains of the Himalayas, not in the deserts of the Middle East, but within the classified pages of an intelligence agency. Now, the most astonishing revelations are yet to come. There are passages suggesting that the practice of gateway not only induces altered states of consciousness, but also allows access to alternative realities as tangible as our own. I can personally testify of this, what I have been experiencing through meditation at times and having such lucid dreams that are beyond real. And one of them I will tell you and share with you. One day I was meditating and I was in my parents' home. This is many years ago. And I was in such a deep meditation. I believe I must have been meditating for maybe an hour and a half to 2. And it was very late at night, maybe like 3 or something in the morning. And all of a sudden, I saw myself. I saw myself observing myself. I was above, looking at me, and I was in the bed, sitting, but not sitting on the bed. I was levitating maybe about this much off of the bed, and I saw me, in a star. You know the Star of David, how it does like that, the top and the bottom. I was in the center, and I was in the center of the star, and the star was not made out of metal. It was made out of light and of different colors that I cannot even tell you, colors that I don't even know. Some I recognize like turquoise, and I recognize lavender, and I recognize gold and silver, and they were very tiny. It was like threads of light, and they were pulsating and they were moving. But inside this star, I was sitting there and I was rotating this way, and it sounded like an airplane when the airplane takes off. You know, that sound. That's the only thing I can imagine, compare it to. And I remember my fists were tight like this, and I was aware that I was there, and I did not want to go back. My body did not. My higher self did not want to go back to that, because I know what it's like out here. And I was forcing myself, no. And I remember when I came back in, it sounded like something like that. That's what it sounded. That's what it actually sounds like with me. And when that happened, I remember that I was depressed for about a month. Weeks I didn't want to eat. I didn't want to see people. You know, I'm already kind of like a hermit anyway, so it was kind of difficult for people to have, contact me. I just didn't want anything. I just wanted to be by myself, and I wanted to dig and indicate within me to find out. I wanted to go back to that moment, and that experience. It's happened to me once only like that. I've had it in visions and dreams, but not like this was like live. It was like it happened. So, as well as having dreams that once I've awakened from them, I experienced them coming to fruition in this reality. And this is another thing. I have dreams that come true. And I'm not going to go into that right now here, but I've explained it before. I have dreams in a way that I don't want to call myself a prophet or anything, but I'm sure people have that, and that's one of my gifts, and I'm not being sorry about it. Before I used to think I'm weird and how can that be, but I receive messages, many messages, and it's not in all the dreams, because all the dreams, sometimes you just either drink too much water or eat too much popcorn, whatever, you have a nightmare. But no, my dreams are specific. When I get messages, I know the messages. I know that we can shift our perceptions beyond the physical body and explore places that exist, albeit not in this physical realm. This deeply resonates with the experiences of spiritual masters who have described their encounter with celestial planes, realms of light, and beings of wisdom. The same language is found in ancient traditions such as Sufism, Hinduism, esoteric Christianity, and Tibetan Buddhism. So what would all of these traditions have in common? The notion that at the same point in our journey, the body transcends where mere matter and becomes light. The body transcends mere matter and becomes light. In the Bible, this phenomenon is illustrated by Christ's transfiguration. In Buddhism, is represented by the rainbow body. In both cases, there's a moment when the physical body doesn't vanish, it transforms. There's radiance, there's illumination, there's a dissolution of the separate self. There are key comparisons between the two phenomena of the rainbow body in Buddhism and Christ's transfiguration, Christianity. This is profound, often compared mystical events representing the transformation of the physical body into pure light or spiritual glory, both signifying the pinnacle of spiritual accomplishment that leads that leads to the same state. According to studies conducted by the CIA, this topic is very sensitive. It not only challenges power structures built on spiritual ignorance, but also invites each of us to awaken, thus being catalysts for I feel we need to be triggered, and Spirit God is sending information through books, through movies, acts of nature, music, the internet. We are being bombarded with information for us to awaken into who we really are, for we have all forgotten. It is both a loud and silent call inviting each of us to awaken. It's a powerful call that resonates in the margins of official documents in a book, waiting for eyes that can see and hearts that can remember. Truth lies not only in what has been written, but also in what has been silenced. And now we have access to these keys, not just to believe, but to explore, to feel, to acknowledge. And I do not think that it's the CIA revealing something. I strongly feel that it is us who are ready to remember. The term gateway refers to a portal or passage, an opening between worlds. This choice of words is no accident. There are no accidents in my eyes. All are serendipities, serendipitous events which hold a hidden wisdom. Serendipitous is described as a fortunate, lucky, or accidental event. Now, a car accident or any accident is a traumatic experience, and that a negative, unexpected event as such, yet an event that is unforeseen in an unforeseen future may turn to be a blessing in disguise, often providing a much needed life change, or sometimes they serve as wake-up calls to help us turn our lives around for personal growth, or rarely a life-saving diagnosis. Sometimes people lead reckless lives and indeed need a wake-up call, and could be a blessing in disguise for some to avoid greater future dangers. So this life of ours holds so many portals where we can enter and choose different life experiences. But what many don't understand is that they are not powerless beings. Yet, now we go back to this here, yet believe that they are in the circumstances they find themselves in due to fault of everyone else besides themselves. So they become victims of society, and thus they have a victim's mentality. Self-victimization stands in the way of their progress as healthy human beings. So this is why I speak, and I am an advocate for self-love, for healing the inner child, for becoming independent of others, not be codependent of anyone, and finding our self-worth. This is most imperative in my eyes. And if we desire to create a better life and ascend in our consciousness, we need to take care of our mental, physical state to bring us closer to our inner teacher. Scientific research has shown that by altering the brain's vibrational patterns, we can also change our interface with reality. The mind is not merely a byproduct of the brain, as was once believed. Instead, it is an active vibrational consciousness capable of shaping, creating, and transcending. When the mind is in heart-mind coherence, the portal opens, the gateway reveals itself. According to the CIA report, when practitioners reach these states of brain coherence, they begin to realize that their identity is not limited to their physical body. They become the observer, the preserve, the the presence, an expansive consciousness that stretches beyond the flesh. In this expansion, they can access what the document refers to as formational horizons. These are dimensions where linear time class ceases to exist, where space is merely a mental construct. So theoretically, one can tap into records of the past, future, and alternate realities. This concept resonates with ancient ideas such as the Akashic records, the Book of Life, the morphic field. The gateway portal is not a new invention. It is a methodology for recalling what has always been accessible, but which we have forgotten how to reach. What's fascinating is that despite its most mystical content, this report is cold, analytical, and technical. It describes consciousness as an oscillating energy system that interacts with the fabric of the universe through resonance. By altering its internal frequency, an individual changes their capacity to engage with the whole. This leads us to unavoidable conclusion: we are intelligent beings of energy. If we can learn to modulate our vibration, in other words, to modulate our personal vibration, essentially our emotional and energetic state is achieved by consistently shifting towards more positive emotions, mindfulness, and healthy habits. One key method is practicing gratitude, meditating, exercising, spending time in nature, and surrounding ourselves with positive, organic, uplifting, creative influences. And I repeat, gratitude cannot stress enough for by acknowledging blessings is one of the fastest ways to raise our frequency. Choosing love over fear, having compassion, being kind increases our validation. Positivity is key, and by modulating our vibration, we can literally shift dimensions, alter our perception of time, heal our bodies, manifest realities, and ultimately ignite our light body. This language, while scientific, perfectly parallels spiritual traditions. The mental states described by the CIA are the same ones sought by yogis, monks, shamans, and mystics throughout history. The only difference is the terminology, but the map remains the same. The gateway process is more than just a theory. It has been tested on dozens of individuals trained for weeks who reported intense and transformative experiences. Among these accounts are conscious projections, encounters with beings of light, memories of past lives, spontaneous healings, and a profound sense of unity with the universe. Those experiences closely resemble those described in deep mystical encounters. There is no fundamental difference between what a gateway practitioner feels and what a spiritual master reports during states of samadhi or sati. This suggests that spiritual ascension, transfiguration, and enlightenment are not merely religious phenomena, they are neurological, energetic, and vibrational states. What the CIA discovered, perhaps without fully realizing it, was a modern protocol for something that ancient cultures already understood intuitively. Among the technical foundations of the gateway is the holographic model of the universe. This model suggests that reality is not composed of solid particles, but rather of interference patterns, much like a hologram. Each part contains the whole. Every point in the universe carries the information of all other points. This implies that consciousness, when resonating with the entirety, can access any information at any time or place. This theory, developed by physicists such as David Bowie and Carl Pribram was incorporated into CIA studies as an explanation for how a person can access knowledge in altered states that they have never before consciously learned. In these states, the brain ceases to function as a linear processor and transforms into a cosmic receiver, a tuned antenna connected to the entirety of the unified field. This perspective, while revolutionary, isn't new. In ancient Egypt, priests spoke of subtle bodies and the soul's journey through different realms. In Hinduism, the concept of Atman describes the divine spark that, when awakened, frees the individuals from the cycle of birth and death. In mystical Christianity, the nous, originating from the Greek philosophy term meaning mind or intellect, it refers to common sense, practical intelligence, a sharp wit. So the nous or divine mind is accessed through inner silence. In Sufism, the ecstatic dervish transcends the ego and merges with the beloved. In all these traditions, there is a common key: the modulation of consciousness, the letting go of limited identity, and the unification with the field of light. So now we can see that ascension is possible and real, but requires preparation, devotion, trust, and love. Love for ourselves as well as the one who created us. And if people yet question who or what created them, then for heaven's sakes, ask the universe. For an answer you will attain if you are sincere in your asking. The meaning of life, we ourselves give that to us. And like any endeavor, like getting an education, meeting a goal, whatever that may be, everything takes time. But to follow the spiritual path is not an easy one. It requires preparation, diligence, discipline, commitment, awareness, and letting go of ego, understanding ego's role in our lives, and allow your heart's, your soul's guidance, and to have discernment, trusting ourselves and our Creator, asking for assistance and awareness like an instrument needs to be fine-tuned. We must learn deep relaxation, meditation, if possible, transcendental meditation. This is what I practice. Learn to breathe deep, breathing deep, synchronization, and ultimately conscious projection. The journey is gradual but exponential. At each stage, something dissolves: fears, ego, the illusion of separation, and something new emerges, a silent, vibrant presence that observes everything without judgment. This presence is the true self. It is what traditions refer to as the witness, the inner observer, or the immortal spirit. Different realms. Hold on a minute. I went to the wrong page. The gateway doesn't create this presence, it simply removes the noise that obscures it. Understanding this, it is realized that the study made by the CIA was not just scientific. It was an invitation. It was an attempt to map the steps between the world of light, and even though they used technical terms, what they uncovered was a path of return, a path of ascension. They discovered that behind matter lies vibration, that behind vibration exists consciousness, and that beyond consciousness is something even greater, a source, a cosmic intelligence, a field where everything is interconnected. This is the same source described by Buddha, Christ, Lao, and all the great masters. It is in the great ancient poets. It is that which cannot be named, but felt when the mind is quiet, and our hearts awaken when we dive into